Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone, yeah, I did. I used too much Bliss today. Wow, it works fast. Everyone all set and cocked, locked, blissed? Here we go. Hey, Rick.
Hey, yeah. I'm locked and loaded, and I've got some things now that you queued me up.
Okay. Well, why don't we do it? Dr. Richard Allen Mills with DocRam.com. Go ahead, Rick.
Where would you like to start? The black slime mold or Amazon? Or how about we elect Pinocchio, because then when he's elected, we'll know when he's lying.
You know, as you mentioned that, I'm thinking about all of these scandals about Hillary Clinton and selling the White House, and our government is up for sale, and selling the Lincoln bedroom when in the 90s when Bill Clinton had his zipper down in the White House in the Oval Office. You know, these people, you can't look up to them. You can't say, boy, what a great...
about that. Hillary is not even going to run. She's probably in mid-September is what they're predicting now. Just when we're supposed to go to elections, there's going to be a crash and burn because the reason she's not in prison is she's dying. That's my best guess.
Well, there are a number of
she's
people who...
it to the elections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a number of people who really aren't going to be weeping for her.
Well, it isn't that. Trump. Okay, that's item one, and it's gotten so overt. Who cares? There's nothing you can do about it anyway. The Republican Party. I remember the look on my father's face in complete disbelief when he realized he was no longer a Republican. My father was a broken man. And today, he's dead now. And today, we're watching the same thing happen. The Republican Party is in shambles. And now the Democratic Party is coming apart at the seams. People are being assassinated. Suicide with a bullet to the back of the head. Yeah, right. I'm so outraged, and now we have a more serious problem. You can start the black slime mold. I know what it is. I know. I've got articles from Science News of 2007 when they sent robots into Chernobyl to look around and see what was growing inside that reactor. This is a type of nanotechnology we do not have that eats and breaks down radiation. So there will be a seventh epoch. I'm getting a bigger picture, and right now, today, this morning, I am being not so much harassed, but buzzed by an AI. I am not kidding. I have had friends over and proved it. 3 hours of nothing. We're sitting in the middle of the night. Nobody calls me at night. And I can say, okay, make the phone ring. The moment, I'm talking less than 2 seconds, the phone will ring. Nobody's there. And that's how I prove it to my friends. And I've done that more than twice. Now, I don't know what's really going on, but I have a lot to say about a lot of different things right now, and it is my fiduciary. I would be remiss if I did not call attention to Carnegie Mellon and Lockheed for the trigger mechanism and what they tried to do two years ago to me to stop me on that one, and now I'm being buzzed as a person of interest. I have no idea why. It is absolutely happening to me. And I can prove it. It's a synchronicity. That's how you do it. Synchronicity. When you start to find significance, and my future timeline says, whoa, this is not right, something's wrong here. That's how I know. Now, where am I going to go with all of this? I don't know. I don't know what it means. I am out of my element. I don't have a clue. And I
Rick,
can tell
we
you
all
what
feel
black slime mold is, though. It's nanotechnology. And Cornell, I've got a bunch of articles to queue up to you from previous articles that run in Fox News and others on this thing back in the 2007 when Chernobyl first started to rear its ugly head, before Fukushima.
Well, let's talk about.
With all of this.
Let's talk about. Rick, you sound angry, and I am as well. Let's talk about this black slime. Let me just read for a minute. Posted that I've been.
Here comes my email with your links you want to put up.
Okay.
And wait till you see what Wikipedia says about black slime mold. I've got one right here from Cornell called Slime Molds. My oxymyces, it's a type of slime mold on mulch. Here's one by dogs. Here's another one. You know, it covers its life cycle, symptoms and signs, and management strategies. Will disappear if they're left alone. Yeah, right. That's one of the direct quotes from the paper. We have a gray slime mold, and some guy from England has been talking about black slime molds as a life form from galactic center. What do you think?
I think it comes.
On radiation.
I think.
Thrives.
I think
it's everywhere now, all over the earth. What does that suggest?
Well, you're right, and I think it comes from the aerial spraying, the chemtrails. Let me just share.
Okay, how's this one? At Carnegie Mellon, I listed there are 77 scientists that put their name down, saying it's pseudoscience, it's not real. That's a contrails. Everything is a contrail.
Yeah, and they're lying. They're lying.
Well, why?
Because they're paid. They're just like government employees.
And now I'm being accused of being a what is it called? Disinformation. Me. I'm the one that says I don't know. I'm just trying to put dots together, and I know that I don't know. And now there's some people out of Germany trying to claim that I'm, working for the government. And if that's true, boy, I sure would like to show the income I didn't get. I'm a starving artist. And by the way, that's the other thing, Amazon. I have not had an order at Amazon for my books for more than 1 week. How does that work? I get orders every day from Amazon. I'm a starving artist, and the last time this happened, Grace Thorne, hi Grace, thank you, placed an order, and the order got delivered to me, and guess what? It didn't come from me. It was a brand new book, according to them, and then when I looked inside it, it was a book I had sold 2 years earlier that they sold new with their Amazon Prime. And if this turns out they're doing it again to me, I am absolutely going to look for a lawyer that would like to do a class action suit against that monster and how they treat small publishers. I am fed up with everything. And I'm a sweetheart, was a sweet old man.
Rick,
they're wearing me out.
Oh, they're wearing us all out, Rick. And they're spraying us.
They had a special handler call me. Oh, well, we accidentally took in some used books, and I guess they put in the wrong stack because they look new. Yeah, I didn't get the order. They did. And it was a used book, and they sold it as new. Now, that was the last time Grace did an order from me. Now we're going to try it again. Any of you out there, go try Amazon. Place an order with me. I could use the income. I don't believe I'm going to get it.
What they should do, Rick, is send you an email saying that here is a link to the order number. Here's the
That's it.
Amazon order.
And if I can get 4 or 5 of those, I've got their balls in a vice. And that's where it needs to go. And watch what happens next. We'll get cut off, the AI will kick in, or I will say something inappropriate by somebody who knows, and then I'm a bad person.
Well, whatever you do, don't say something inappropriate
disinformation,
today.
And I don't know what to do. I'm so
Rick,
profiled.
Let's talk about what they're doing to many of us with this. It's called a creeping black slime, according to dailymail.co.uk. Let me just read this. It says, this post, the creeping black slime taking over historic buildings around the world. Researchers reveal monuments from Washington to Angkor Wat now being hit by impossible to remove biofilm. Experts say the biofilm can be seen at Hadrian's Villa, and it's been seen at the Jefferson Memorial. It's made it to Egypt. It's on headstones. It seems to like white buildings. Now, this same black mold, they call it slime. To me, it's dry, but it's on our roof. It's on our roof where the sun doesn't shine, literally. So there's a part of our roof. Well, Rick, if you look up...
I was childhood memory.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, literally where the sun... There's a small portion of our roof that is hidden from the sun because it faces north. And most of the roof can get sun all day, well, most of the day, but part of it doesn't get any sun at all. And that's where you can see these streaks of black on the roof. We have a kind of a tannish, grayish, brownish, reddish. It looks like bark, the color of bark. That's the color of our roof. And it has this black mold on it where the sun doesn't shine. Now, it's not where the sun does shine. Additionally, I mentioned that we have these ponds. We've got one pond that is 100% covered with green algae. We've got puddles in our driveway right now from the rain several days ago that have this green large clumps, fist-sized clumps of green. So I am absolutely convinced that the reason that so many people are having respiratory problems, including me, and I got surgery as a result of it, I believe it's the chemtrail flu. Now, I'm not saying that it's not related to Chernobyl, too. Add a little Chernobyl in there, add a little Fukushima in there, add a little 3 Mile Island in there, add some experimentation in there by our government, and that's what we've got. We'll be right back. Doc Ram's with us. DocRam.com, DocRam.com. So, Rick, this article says, what is the slime? The mysterious slime is taking over landmarks around the world. It's actually a biofilm. This is made up of a colony of microscopic organisms, and despite its nickname, it's actually dry. According to researchers, this property makes it difficult to clean. The biofilm adheres to stone surfaces, and as rain slowly erodes the monuments, they become pitted, creating the perfect home for a colony. So far, there are no known methods to permanently remove it. And if you look at some of the images, I posted first link on the website just a couple minutes ago. If you look at a landmark called Hadrian's Villa in Italy, it looks like it was on fire. It looks like these limestone columns were in a fire and they were burned and charred black. Literally, that's what it looks like. If you look at there's a former library in Angkor Wat. It's almost covered. It almost looks like it's black. And if you look at some of the stones that are in the Arlington Cemetery or the Jefferson Memorial, the dome of the Jefferson Memorial, you'll see it's grayish. And that's what we're talking about. So I really think that this came from the sky. I really think that it's man-made, and I think it's the same thing that's causing us to cough and hack and develop pneumonia, and I believe it's killing a bunch of us. I really do, Rick. I am not exaggerating. And I think that this chemtrail spraying, the people who are doing it are traitors. They're committing treason. They're killing the planet. And
let's go to page 2 on that. Now we can talk about last week in Science News, Scientific American, and numerous others, Earth Sky News, Skywatch, all of them posted this most prestigious survey done by Carnegie Mellon University. Make a note of that university. That's the one that's doing the disinformation. And they're getting collaboration with others, but that's where it started in Pittsburgh. And I'm going to run it down chapter and verse, and I dare them to do libel on me. I dare them. That's me upset about what they did. I've got proof on what they did 2014, where they sent 2 different individuals into my home and wiped my hard drives. Now, I've got pictures. I took camera. I got them. And I confronted both of those individuals that are local and were paid. And one of them broke. And now I've got that. So here we are at the end of days with what's going on. Well, they did a survey on 77 so-called peer review. And their names are posted on my Facebook, so you can mark their names as the people that are involved as scientists making claims that 76 of them said that it's pseudoscience, that it's all contrails, there's no such thing as a chemtrail. Now, that's all well and good, like you said last week, in terms of, well, what's that doing with our soil? And what about the atmospheric measurements now of aluminum and barium? And then the Navy testing lithium in Reedsburg, Oregon in November of last year. Now, I, last year, presented a paper that identified 28 different aerosols. You can taste them differently. That's how I did it without a laboratory, just like I do echinacea and gustifolia from different states. You can taste it in your mouth, the difference on, chicoric acid and the other things like that. If you're a good enough farmer, you can identify what's going on with your plant just with your mouth. It's a wonderful laboratory. And I'm telling you, there's something else going on here, and when this many peer-reviewed scientists come out and say it's pseudoscience, I have to draw a line. And I am completely embarrassed for the field of science and this sham that scientists would actually participate in. It's a challenge now for real scientists listening to my voice to go out and vet it for yourself. And then you tell me, and it's time for a league of concerned scientists, because right now the field of science is in jeopardy for credibility.
So is the field of journalism. Journalism is a sham. Did you see the references I got from Chernobyl and other science plays? How about ScienceGoGo.com? Dr. Richard Allen Miller and I'll be right back talking more about the threats to us, the threats to the planet by evil people. Dr. Richard Allen Miller's with us. Rick, you sent me a link from Wikipedia, and I'd just like to read one short paragraph.
Yeah, isn't that interesting, isn't it? I thought you'd like that, huh?
Yeah, here we go. As long as food is abundant, these slime molds exist as single-celled organisms. When food is in short supply, many of these single-celled organisms will congregate and start moving as a single body. In this state, they are sensitive to airborne chemicals and can detect food sources. They can readily change the shape and function of parts, and many form stalks that produce fruiting bodies, releasing countless spores, light enough to be carried in the wind or hitch a ride on passing animals. They feed on microorganisms that live in any type of dead plant material. So we have said for years, people would say, I don't have any problem with water. What I'll do is I'll get the rainwater off my roof and I'll just drink that. Well, okay. That's where all the radiation is landed.
Now you're getting the big picture, and why I would say we are being terraformed right before our eyes, and it's time that we all stop being ignorant, ill-informed, and complacent right now.
Well, the point that I was making, Rick, is that's where the bird poop is. That's where the dead insects are on our composition shingles, on our roofs, and those little granules hold all of this airborne matter that has landed on our roof, and so we're going to drink that. Well, that's the matter that I believe this mold is living on, but it can release spores that can travel further and land on our animals, our cows, our dogs, wild animals, spread worldwide. And it has, Rick. This is all over the world. Trees are dying, limbs are falling down. I used to think, well, if we have 120 acres of woods here at the farm, will we have enough dead limbs falling down off these trees to heat our farmhouse without having to cut trees down? Because I don't want to cut live trees down. Well, the answer is no problem. We have more wood falling down than we can burn. More wood falling down. And if you saw how much wood it takes to heat a house, I don't care what size house it is, it takes cords of wood, and a cord is 4 by 4 by 8. A cord of wood, you can't carry a cord of wood in a pickup truck. It's not big enough. Maybe a third of a cord. You can't carry a cord of wood in a pickup truck. It just can't. It doesn't happen. It's not big enough. So the amount of wood that's burned in a home to heat it in the winter is a lot. Well, I thought that we wouldn't have enough with 120 acres of limbs falling down and trees just dying. No problem now. These trees are dying at such a rate, the limbs are falling at such a rate that it's almost a full-time job just to pick up the wood.
Let me read an article that I just picked up from worldtruth.tv. That's an interesting... Oh, and by the way, thank you, Janet Randall, for cluing me in on disinformation. I posted something from abc.com, and guess what? It was from abc.com.co, and it looks like abc.com, but guess what? It's not at all, and it shows Obama signing an executive order that does not exist, and it looks like ABC News. It's on my Facebook, including... listen, I am... you can't vet everything. When you get so outraged and someone sends you a link in good faith, who knows where it came from? And that's what's happened now with our internet. That has also been hijacked.
Yeah, and, there's another thing that I've noticed. I mean, this is way off topic. But, Rick, I wanted to buy a part for a trailer. We have an American-made trailer with American-made axles, and I need a wheel seal. A wheel seal is like a $2 or $3 part, but not for this American-made trailer. It's $25. The point I'm trying to make is that we think that the prices are what we see in the stores, but if they were American-made, they would be 10 times higher. Literally, do you think that an American shop in Brooklyn can make an Arrow shirt or a Manhattan shirt or a Van Heusen shirt for $20? It's impossible. It's impossible. The transportation to get it out of the city is more than $20. What I'm saying, Rick, is we have been lied to, not only about this black mold, about the black slime, about the geoengineering. We've been lied to about everything. And when you talk about Barry Soetoro in the White House with executive orders, that guy is absolutely positively out of control. And he's even saying, hey, listen, I'm a short timer. I only got a couple more months to go. Don't bug me. I'll do what I want to do. Didn't even go to look at the floods.
And guess what else? They have just hijacked my computer. Here we say, we're sorry, Firefox has a problem and crashed. And guess what? So there, I'm working Windows 7. And thank you, Russell, for Russell Reams is working with me doing my encyclopedia, and just sent me the specific codes on how they're upgrading me without notice to Windows 10, where they can hijack my computer like it just happened. I've got the codes, I've got how to remove them, and I'll send that to you as well.
Rick, I don't know what the answer is, but Microsoft has sold us out. Microsoft has got back doors. Apple
has rolled over. It's time to go to Linux and to work with different kinds of platforms, because it's all a bunch of hooey.
Yeah, I'm using Linux on most of our computers here.
Well, use your router. Make sure your router is Linux. That's a good place to start. You have a secondary computer with a Linux platform, and just have that be your router.
Now, some people would say that no matter what we do, whether we use Microsoft or Apple or Linux,
of course, because they have already anticipated. And by the way, that's being done now with something non-human. Now, there is light at the end of the rainbow. Why? Well, the distinction between a computer and you, a machine, and you, is that a computer does not feel pleasure when it beats you at chess. Remember, the feelings inside you are the ones that are more information than a computer can get at. And they don't have that ability yet. They don't have an algorithm for that yet.
Rick,
and that's what makes you different than a machine, is that you feel.
Mm-hmm. Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, Maryland are very close together. And the city of Baltimore has had this secret surveillance program. The police have been involved with the secret surveillance program. And by the way, my computer's not working right either. This is a challenge, but to those guys that are making this happen and causing interference on this broadcast, that's okay. It's okay. We're going to expose you anyway. And what it does is it just forces us to be more resilient, more clever in our responses. So the more they attack us, the more we're going to expose them. That's just the way it's going to work. Okay, so Baltimore, CBSLocal.com has a post that says, since January, the city of Baltimore has been under intermittent surveillance from the sky, and the public was never told, according to a report by Bloomberg Businessweek. A small Cessna airplane equipped with cameras spent hours flying over the city, feeding its footage back to huge hard drives, the report says. The Baltimore Police Department has had a press conference on the matter Wednesday afternoon. Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake put out a statement at the same time. And here's the statement, if I can get to it. My computer doesn't want to work. I was recently made aware of the Persistent Surveillance Systems, Incorporated, work with our city, Rawlings Blake wrote. The pilot program funded by an anonymous donor is cutting-edge technology aimed at making Baltimore safer. My top priority, which I've continuously communicated to Commissioner Davis, has been to keep our city safe. His team sought opportunities to find new technology that works hand in hand with our robust City Watch program. This technology is about public safety. This isn't surveillance or tracking anyone. It's about catching those who choose to do harm to our citizens in our city. The program is not an unmanned drone or secret surveillance program. The Baltimore Police Department, T.J. Smith began the Wednesday press conference saying, oh, really? It's not unmanned? No, it's a manned Cessna flying with these cameras, transmitting images, transmitting movements, transmitting all kinds of information about we, the villagers in Baltimore. Do I want to go to Baltimore? Absolutely not. I don't want to go to Baltimore. I don't want to go to any city, really. I want to stay home. I want to stay home on the farm. I want to be left alone. And And if you look at the people, these famous people who have made themselves famous by doing stupid things like Kim Kardashian and the rest of that ilk, those people want to be left alone, but yet they want to be in the spotlight. And they what they've done is they found a way to keep the Google cars away from their village. They don't want Google surveillance, but they do want, when they bend over in these thongs, they want to make sure that makes the news, but they don't want where they live in their homes to be under surveillance and under reporting by the media. So it goes on to say this wide area imagery system allows for the capability of seeing 32 square miles. This is effectively a mobile city watch camera. And what we gain with this size is so that we can see a larger area than we would with a city watch camera, but what we lose is clarity. Baltimore is under surveillance. And the mayor says she recently learned about it. What's recently? Is that 2 years ago? Is that 3 years ago? Is that 5 minutes ago? That's how how these politicians speak. They speak so you can't nail them down too easily. There's no question in my mind that the mayor knew about it. And the mayor should be fired for secretly spying on the village. We'll be right back. Doc Ram's with us, Dr. Richard Allen Miller, docram.com. And so here's some more from this article. Years ago, when we embarked on our City Watch program, this is in Baltimore, there were similar anxieties that are understandable, Smith said. We expect this technology to be used for other public safety concerns like silver alerts, amber alerts, floods, sinkholes, fires, terrorist attacks, and more. It adheres to our closed-circuit TV policies. We currently know that there are existing technologies that are out there in the world and in place, like red light cameras, spying on vehicles, speed cameras, we've got them too, license plate readers, they've got them on light poles, and they've got vehicles riding around in the cities. I saw one in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and I even talked to the guy behind the wheel giving tickets to people in Walmart looking for out of registration tags and whatever else they look for with their license plate scanners. They have 6 cameras on this SUV, 6 cameras as they drive around the parking lots looking for alleged violations. So the city of Baltimore is absolutely out of control, flying these planes around, and they say it was done through a contribution. And so the question is, when asked why this program was never disclosed to the public, Smith pointed out that it is not the department's policy. It's not their policy. Let me say it a different way. It's not their policy to put out press announcements for new or changed City Watch cameras. And that's not an official city program, but rather a trial program. So now they're saying, we don't have to tell you because we're just trying it. It's not permanent. We're just trying it.
It gets better. How about the city of Chicago now using the same algorithms in Jade? Actually, it's an advancement over Jade 2.0 software for profiling when a crime is going to be committed 28 minutes before it occurs. Now,
so Rick, how's that work? So you get arrested for...
It listens to chatter and does a most likely scenario of what will happen next, and then has a history of verification to set up error bars on its predictability. That's what the Jade Helm experiments were all about, to check, to see how people reacted. Just like Sandy Hook, which did not happen.
So, Rick, are we saying that people can be arrested because of what this computer simulation, this computer model, this AI system?
No, they're waiting for you. They don't do that. What they do is they sit there waiting for you to commit the crime before you know you're going to do it. And then they're right there in position to get you. That's how it works. Or today. I don't know how it's going to work tomorrow. Tom Cruise may have a different idea in terms of ethics and morals. And that's what we're really down to now. The distinctional difference between ethics and morals. An ethical man knows not to cheat on his wife. A moral man won't. That's a direct quote from Ducky Mallard out of NCIS.
How about the White House being for sale or the government being for sale by Hillary Clinton? So if you want to have an appointment with...
We've already been sold down that river. And watch what happens now to the Clinton Foundation that gave away that Class 1 uranium mine to Russia from Burns, Oregon. Watch what happens next.
Politicians make promises
on that with our oath keepers here. Listen, we are at war, and there is a direct war, and your congressman is not your friend. And that's one of the reasons why Nick Begich's younger brother is no longer running for the Senate anymore. He's running for state because you have to start it at your own home ground. That's where crime and, that's where it all starts. And what you're seeing in national politics is a reflection of what's going on right in your own hometown. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. All of you listening.
Class will be right back after these few short top-of-the-hour commercial announcements and top-of-the-hour news. Doc Ram will be back with us. I'm Vin Finelli. This is USA Prepares, and we're angry today. I'm all excited. And by the way, everyone all set, cocked, locked? Hour number 2 of USAPrepares.com. I've got a special message for those of you who have been asking for this broadcast to be put on YouTube commercial free. I just talked with senior management at Genesis Communications Network, and we've got the go-ahead to resume commercial free posts to YouTube on the Ron Gibson channel. So, Ron Gibson, if you are with us this morning, you have permission. I'm saying it publicly that I have discussed it just moments ago, and we are clear for commercial-free
Yeah,
YouTube
and Scott
posts.
David and several others who have come in late did not hear the early part of this show and wanted to know how to get access. So there it is, everybody. It's about time you wake up.
All right, here's how you can listen to USA Prepares. Now, we're on AM and FM affiliates across the country. The broadcast originates at Genesis Communications Network. That's available at GCNlive.com, GCNLIVE.com. There are about 84 of us broadcasting on Genesis Communications Network, the world's largest alternative radio network, the 4th largest network in the country, the largest alternative in the country. And you can go to GCNlive.com, and there's a drop-down box that says, the program of your choice. We're at the bottom because it's alphabetical, USA Prepares. Click on that, and or you can click on the podcasts, the archives. You can download any day you want of our broadcast. There are years' worth available. You can listen to this broadcast on republicbroadcasting.org. It's 1 day delayed. That's John Statmiller's network. So he likes us so much that he's carrying this broadcast verbatim from 6 o'clock in the morning through the 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock hours. So that's 6 a.m. through 8 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. You can go to YouTube and you can type in, search on USA Prepares. You can go to the Ron Gibson channel, Gibson. He posts Alex Jones, Mike Rivero, and USA Prepares, his 3 favorite broadcasts. And there are, certainly TalkStream Live. You can go to TalkStream Live, look up USA Prepares, and access us through that. There is a listen line. Actually, there are many listen lines for USA Prepares. One of them is 605-477-3249, 605-477-3249. And let's leave it at that for right now. Rick, violence in this country, violence in the world is absolutely out of control. And I want to share something that I did yesterday. So I was standing outside between our barn, our farmhouse, and our garage, 3 buildings. And I was talking with Mrs. Finelli, our son. And here's what I said. I said, do you believe, now this is my family. And I said, do you believe that we are in for a serious downturn, a collapse, a grid down situation? Do you believe this? Now, I wasn't asking them to follow the lead of Dad. I was asking them if they in their heart believed it, because if they do, meaning Mrs. Finelli and our son, who was with me at the time, who lives here at the farm with us, if they believe it, then it is time to redouble our efforts and get everything in place that we need to for this collapse. And absolutely, positively, they believe it. Not because I say it, because they can see the evidence all around them. They can see our political system crumbling. They can see Hillary lying. They can see Barry lying. They can see that Vince Foster's, the information on the internet is being removed. If you type into a Google search that you're looking for information about Vince Foster, it's getting harder to find. If you type in Clinton deaths, Clinton Arkancides, if you type those in, there are fewer posts that Google brings up. The internet is being scrubbed right in front of our eyes. My family is extremely concerned about what we need to do to protect our lives and our futures. My son spent a half a day yesterday at his computer searching cattle prices. Rick, this is absolutely terrifying to any farmer. And why did he do it? Because I said to him, have you noticed the number of farms that are available for sale here? If you go out our road and turn right, there are 2 farms for sale. I'm talking about, 150 acres each. 2 farms are right down the road. If you go left, there are more farms for sale. I have never seen so many farms for sale with for sale signs. Never. Farmers are going under. Why? Because a few years ago, cattle prices were about $4 a pound. Now we're looking at $1.50, if we're lucky. And I talked to him about trends. And I talked to him about, I said, look, if you put a line through this chart, the trend is worse. It's going down. And he said the research that he found shows that cattle prices are not going to recover until 2019. Most farms are going to have a tremendous time just staying afloat. Farmers, large farms around here, are selling acreage. They're selling acreage because they can't hold on. They need the cash to pay the taxes and pay the bills. Smaller farms are going under. Farmers are driving old, beat-up jalopies. Me too. My newest vehicle is a 2004 that I bought for $3,000. That's my
You need something from the 70s that is old-fashioned and made correctly. And while it isn't going to be a DeLorean, what has happened to our pride and the quality of what made American agriculture and American products the best buy there was? For a dollar spent, you used to get more bang for your buck. And that was when they used to sell things between cheapest and best buy. And Snap-on and Craftsman are no longer in that realm anymore, because everything is made outside the United States. Just exactly what have we become?
Rick, my father was a principal of a school for a long time during his life. And he used to wear a suit to work every day, or a sports coat and dress slacks. And he almost always wore Floorsheim wingtip shoes. And I remember going to the shoe store with him when I was younger, and they were $27.50 for a pair of wingtips. And then they went up to $37. I thought, wow, $37, that's a lot of money. Well, he had them rebuilt. Okay. So many times. New heels, new soles and heels. They were rebuilt so many times. And I remember being with him in the shoe store when they actually had shoe salesmen who were professionals at what they did. They would fit your shoes, and you could actually get help. That's no longer available, as far as, at least in our.
Well, they no longer use leather; they use plastic.
Yeah. Well, the shoe salesman said to my dad, and this was probably 20 years ago, he said, wow, do you know how much these shoes are now? They're over $300. $300 for a pair. I couldn't believe it. The ones that I thought were high at 37, $300 for a pair of Floorshine wingtip shoes because they had leather soles and they were all leather. I mean, they were all leather and they would last 30 years. Well, now if you can get a pair of sneakers that's made with leather, that's amazing. You know, right now they're these nylon fabrics. When I went to buy sneakers the last time, which was probably a year ago, I wouldn't buy them because I would open the box, and I even said it on the air. They don't weigh anything. There's hardly any material in them. There's no mass to these sneakers. How can they possibly last? And when I wear sneakers, if I'm on the farm, I'm on a four-wheeler, and a four-wheeler has like a motorcycle shift. So you put your toe under the shift lever, your left toe, and you shift up, you shift down. I can't have these flimsy sneakers. That's where tennis, we've gone.
Yeah, when I played tennis as a boy, the pennies only had one kind of tennis shoe. And I would go through them every 6 months because of the way I served my tennis ball. The toe would wear out, and that part of the shoe would wear out, and I'd need to replace it every 6 months playing on grass, clay, or it's all changed. My shoes now, I can wear a tennis shoe for 2 years before it falls apart.
You can?
And it's not real. And it's not made with Canadian leather like Danner or Red Wing or some of the other original American-type base shoes. Danner was using Canadian leather and made in the United States, and you'd get it at a Warshaw's or one of those kinds of places. That's all gone now. Danner is available just like chainsaws, but it's a different universe today.
About 8 years ago, I bought a pair of Red Wing boots for the farm I could wear around on the farm. And they're brown, and they're tall lace-up boots. And I finally wore out the Vibram sole, and I called a couple of shoe stores, and I said, you know, I've got this pair of boots, and I explained what they were, and I'd like to get them rebuilt, resold. And I said, so how much is it? And they said, oh, I don't know, $75 or $85. I said, no. I'm not talking about buying a new pair of boots. I'm just talking about having them resold. And they said, no, that's what it is. So I thought, these guys are highway robbers. So I called some other places, and they were even higher.
Thank you.
$75, $85 to put these sponge foam rubber soles on a pair of boots. I mean, how did we get to this point? What I'm talking about is American labor is so high that we throw things out because we look at it and we say, we can't fix that piece of electronics. It costs more than the electronic cost in the beginning. So we throw them away. And that's what's in our landfill. So, Rick, we have this explosion, that would be my term, of violence in the United States. People are shooting family members. They're murdering family members. They're looking for inheritance. They're snapping. They're losing control. They're doing very horrible things to other people. And just as an example of how we are not helping each other, last weekend I was coming back from Kentucky, and I had this 26-foot trailer with me, and there was a brake failure. You know, I'm meticulous at how I check our equipment, greased all the bearings before leaving on the trip, and we hit a massive amount of water, and I had a brake lining failure, and what literally happened was the brake lining, which was in really good condition visually, separated from the backing plate, and it caused the lining to rotate and lock up in the brake drum. It's a dual axle trailer, pretty heavy trailer. And so I pulled into one of those rest stops, and I took out I had a 5-ton jack with me, and my son and I jacked up the trailer, and we realized that the brake drum was locking up and would overheat. So we decided to take two tires and wheels off the trailer on the corresponding end of the axle that had the brake drum failure. So it was like an hour job, jacking up the trailer slowly, taking off 8 lug nuts per wheel. And what I noticed was tractor trailers were coming in there to use the rest facilities there, and cars were coming in, and it looked like we weren't having a lot of fun. But here's the point. Not one person walked over and said, "Huh, what are you doing?" "Well, it looks miserable. Really hot out. You guys are sweating like you're really, really having a tough time. Anything I can do to help you?" Not one person. Not one person came over to volunteer to help or even talk to us. That is what I look at as the state of America today. Me first. I'm just interested in me. I don't care about anybody else. That's not the way it used to be, Rick, but that's the way it is today. And I just proved it.
I don't have any more comments. I'm worn out.
We all are worn out, Rick. We're worn out. But even though we're worn out, the police are still willing to take that extra burst of energy they have and still kill us. And
Matt Stein and I are going to be in Kansas City October 1st. And I hope to meet any of you that can make that. It isn't even about coming to, spend money or anything like that. It's time we start having Darshan face to face, like Vincent's showing up for the Jimmy's Eggs and that kind of thing. This has got to be a grassroots movement. It's going to start with you personally, and we're right now at the end of days.
Rick, maybe it's me. Maybe it's me, because I was there with the trailer, working on taking these wheels off and determining what the problem is, and no one was willing to help. No one was willing to come over. And then when I went to another convention, a prepper convention, and I spoke, I invited people to have dinner with us. Not one person was even interested in talking about. So where is it and how does it work and what are you guys going to be doing? Not one person. Rick, something has happened recently where people are
more complacent.
Yeah.
I
mean, I've never seen it. Rick, do you remember when we had the
black slime mold? Blame it on Rick.
We used to have we would have to get table after table after table and put them all together when we'd have one of these little, get-togethers at a restaurant. We would have more tables put together than anywhere else in the restaurant.
I remember when I first met you, and I came into not Jimmy's Eggs. What at that time? I forget what it was called.
Ziggy's.
Yeah. And you introduced me, and there were at least 150 people there. I remember that.
Yeah.
That's where I met Janet Randall. That's where I met Grace Thorne. That's where I met Ed Marvini. It's changing, and it's a shame because we need you. We need you as much as you need us.
We'll be right back. Rick, we're talking about the violence that's going on all over the country. And before we continue that, George in Mississippi, welcome.
Hey guys, how you doing this morning?
Good. How can we help? Go ahead, George.
Vincent, I took a trip from the Gulf Coast of Mississippi to Peoria, Illinois, to pick up a car or a truck. And usually when I go up that way, Missouri always has the lowest gas prices. And this time when I went, it's been about 5 years since I went up that way, Missouri had higher gas prices than we did down here.
Wow. What what were the gas prices that you saw in Missouri versus your place?
When I left home in Gulfport, it was $1.74 a gallon. This was at the beginning of August.
Mm-hmm.
And going through Missouri, I was hitting $1.85, $1.99. And
right.
Usually Missouri gas prices are I'd say about 20 cents cheaper than what I would pay down here.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And I've noticed the same thing. Typically, the lowest price that we have right now at this moment in my neck of the world is $1.99 for the the unleaded regular. And what I've noticed that I really don't like is the cost of premium is about 25% more per gallon than unleaded regular. And I think that's way, way too high of a percentage. And that's a problem because what we're finding is that more and more of these vehicles are requiring premium fuel because of higher compression ratios.
Now, did Missouri raise their gas tax?
I don't know. I do know that in sales tax is really pretty high around us, close to 8% or over 8% in some counties, which I think, how did we get to a sales tax that was supposed to be a temporary fix back in the 1970s, on the East Coast? It was just going to be a 0.5% temporary for budget shortfalls. And now the sales tax is almost in all states. And many states are, 8%, 9%. I talked to the city manager in Springfield, Missouri, and I was complaining about taxes and fluoride in the water. And he said, we're right in the middle of the pack. And he was proud. He was proud that Springfield, Missouri is in the middle of the pack in terms of taxation. And I said, well, I think it'd be really nice if you were at the bottom of the pack and you had the lowest, if not no sales tax whatsoever. That would be nice. And he was furious with me. But anyway, that's my thoughts on gas.
And also,
by the way,
I called you. Yes.
By the way, one last thing. We use diesel on the farm, and I try to buy diesel at the time when no one else wants it. And the best time to buy diesel is in the heat of the summer, because it's not being used to heat homes in the East Coast. So the best time, usually, to buy number 2 fuel oil or diesel oil or farm fuel, all the same thing, is when it's really hot out.
And I also called you about having money in your car and about the sensors picking up your $100 bills.
Yeah.
When we made that trip to buy that truck, I wrapped that money all up in aluminum foil, and I put it in my vehicle where I didn't think anybody would look. And then I thought about it, and I said, man, if they have some kind of RFID chip or something in there, if you would put that aluminum foil against the money, would that make a bigger antenna? So I had to unwrap it all. I unwrapped it all, and I got some wax butcher paper, and I wrapped it in that so it wouldn't make a contact. And then I wrapped it back with the aluminum foil.
Well, it's ridiculous that we have to go through these lengths of where did you get that money, boy, because we've got the cops who are looking for, they're not looking to help. They're not looking to protect and serve. They're looking to ticket. They're looking for tickets and revenue. That's what they're in the business of doing. It's an outrage. Exactly. Rick, you have any comments? All right. Well, there was a story of a deaf man. He was deaf. I mentioned this yesterday. He was shot dead by a state trooper. So this guy is 29 years old. He was traveling in his vehicle, and he gets pulled over for a alleged speeding violation. He's on the interstate, and the cops say that there was a brief chase. Now, what is a brief chase? What is the chase? Does that mean high speed, or does that mean like 10 miles an hour? Or is that, when I get pulled over by the cops, I don't stop where they turn on the lights. I stop where it's safe. safe for them and safe for me. I want to make sure they don't get killed by passing vehicles, and I want to make sure that I don't get rear-ended by the cop car getting rear-ended. You know, what are these routine traffic stops? They're ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I don't think there is such thing as a routine traffic stop. I think it's just another euphemism for pulling people over, and they say it's routine. But anyway, this poor guy, he gets stopped by the cops. He pulls over. He's speech impaired. He's deaf. He doesn't understand what the cop's saying because the cop's at a distance. He walks toward the cop, gets out of his car, walks toward the cop, and the cop kills him. He's unarmed. He's a deaf guy. It's an outrage. And until we start prosecuting these cops for the crimes they're committing, murder, because, well, and the chiefs of police say, well, we have to make split-second decisions. No, they don't. They think they do. They don't have to make split-second decisions. Whatever happened to a warning shot, down in the ground? Whatever happened to discussions? Why do they have to break our doors down in our homes? Why do they have to do that? Why do they have to shoot through the windshields? Why do they have to shoot through the doors? Why do they have to shoot through the side windows of cars? Why do they shoot at all? I think we need to bring these guys up on charges. And I think what's going to happen is we, the villagers, are going to get so sick of this, we're going to have our own courts. There will be vigilante justice. I think it's coming. George, your thoughts?
It's coming down the line someplace in time.
Yeah. Anything else, George?
That's it. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for calling.
All right, bye.
Mark in Missouri, you're on with Dr. Richard Allen Miller.
Yeah, good morning. I think there's a paradigm shift. There's two things going on. There's people that are moving away from each other and people that are trying to move towards one another. And, but when you try to move towards another person to, bring truth to them, a lot of people are very angry and they reject the truth and they won't accept the truth.
It's too hard. And that explains why we have such stupid shows on television. Idiotic shows. It explains that people are they don't have the capacity to think anymore. They don't want to learn. In our neck of the woods, people don't even read books. There's no need for a library in my neighborhood. I have more books at our house.
I love to read.
Than the library. It's unbelievable. And so many people are thinking, well, why have books? Because I can have this Kindle. I can have, hundreds of books on this Kindle. They don't understand that Kindle has capacitors and that Kindle has electronics that will not last forever. And how long does an iPad last? How long does a phone last? How many people say, heck, my phone's 3 years old. It doesn't work anymore. I need a new phone. How would that work if all of our reading material, all of our resources for research are available electronically and the electronics quit after 8 years? How about the DVDs that we store, our treasured libraries, our treasured photos, treasured recordings? We put them on DVDs and we think they're going to last forever. Well, not only don't they last forever, they might last 10 years, but the electronics that powers them last 8 years. How many people say, wow, I can't believe it. I got 3 years out of my DVD player. What are we thinking? Why would we not have books? Tell me why. I don't get it. I guess that's a rhetorical
question.
My
people perish for the lack of knowledge. And when people reject the knowledge, then they reject the wisdom and the understanding that will come after it.
Talk about knowledge. Let me tell you that everything that I am working on now here at the farm has become more complex. I can't just do something. I can't repair something without having to do research on how it's put together. It's becoming more complex, and I need more tools, more specialized tools to perform maintenance operations and service operations and repair operations on equipment. More specialized tools. And I don't know if that's because the manufacturers want to sell these specialized tools to the dealers and price them so high that we, the villagers, can't afford to repair our own things. I guess that's part of it. Planned obsolescence. Rick, you talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know what to say anymore. I'm just...
Well, we've been targeted, Rick. We've been targeted by...
like I said, I've got an artificial intelligence something or other buzzing around me this very moment. And Windows 7 has been hijacked. And now it's Windows 10, even though it isn't. And I will give you the specific files that change it so you can go in and individually delete them. But guess what? It's constantly now trying to upgrade my computer with Windows 7. And I never got updates, and now I am. And watch what's coming in.
You're absolutely right. Mark in Missouri, thanks so much for your call.
Have a good day.
Doc Ram's with us. He's been pretty silent for the last half hour. And so just to put him over the edge, here we go. So I'm looking at this post. It's by Engaget, Engadget.com. And it says, like any other potential advertising space, New York City's Bryant Park needs information about its visitors in order to attract potential sponsors. Really? Potential sponsors to a park? Okay. To gather that information, the private Bryant Park Corporation, which runs the city-owned park. Now, how does that happen? So we have a private corporation running a city-owned park, has announced a new partnership with data analytics firm Place IQ. That's the firm, Place IQ, allowing the park to glean anonymized data from visitors' mobile phones that can be used to create a generalized picture of the park goers and their movements or buying habits. While visitor numbers are a useful metric for planning park events and estimating foot traffic, Place IQ's platform tracks more than just the size of the crowds. The company has already determined that only 19% of visitors live in Manhattan. Now, how would they know that? I guess they know who they are by the unique identifiers in each one of their phones, right? But the average visitor is 50% more likely to visit Macy's and twice as likely to shop at PetSmart or do their banking with Bank of America. What I'm saying is that this post is telling us that even if you go to a park where you think you are relatively free from surveillance, you are not. Your smartphone is telling people where you are when you're there and can be turned on for audio and video surveillance and recording in perpetuity. Rick, I can't stand it, and I'm so glad I don't have a phone.
Well, it gets worse than that because they don't need a phone anymore. And if you watch the old series, Netflix has 4 seasons of Person of Interest. That will give you protocols on how you need to behave with your cell phone, cameras everywhere, including Grants Pass, Oregon, and your computer when it's off, and your telephone, your landline, when it's off.
You're absolutely right, Rick. It's out of control. So, Glass, if you've got your phone, your smartphone on your nightstand charging it, do you want these perverts to listen in, turn on the camera on your smartphone, in your bedroom, in your bathroom?
And
how many of you
they're listening to you, can you imagine what they're doing to someone like Vincent or me?
And that's why I don't have one of these phones. Because, how many people...
I remember when I was working for the government, I had a top secret clearance with vault permits. I presented a paper I wrote in Claremont, California, and 1 week later, they came into my bookstore, placed me under close arrest, and this was the Army. I was working for Navy. They placed me under arrest while 2 civilian clothes, went through my files and pulled embryonic holography. I remember that was my paper. I had a top secret clearance with ball permits, and they took my paper away from me. It happened. And I was there. It happened. And now, it's like not our government, it's individual cells within the government that have no accountability.
And if you want to see what this is like, I suggest you do watch Person of Interest on Netflix. And I suggest, here's your homework assignment, class. It's going to take months to do this. Person of Interest. Scandal. Madam Secretary.
Madam Secretary, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. House of Cards. It's a little vulgar. Too much salacious sex
This
in it.
is not anymore the Oval Office. And what was that one that was a good Shealy? I forget what it was called.
And Blacklist.
Yeah.
That's another one. If you watch those, you will see what really is happening in our hijacked government, our sold-out government. And Hillary Clinton is at the top of the pyramid of selling us out. Rick, thanks so much for being with us. Above all,
My
honesty
pleasure.
and integrity.